Welcome to the Bernard Alvarez webcast. Today we are going to be completing our four-part series, Balancing the Elements. We're going to be moving on to the element of air. And I thought the best way to start talking about this, I like air. I don't want to say it's my favorite one because water is obviously my favorite one as a Cancer Pisces. But air to me is probably more important because it has to deal with breath, and breath has to deal with life, it has to deal with meditation, and it kind of, I don't know, for me it just seems more powerful than all the rest, which is why I saved it for last. So let's start by covering some of the basic stuff on air. I'm sure many of you know all of this, but let's go back in time a little bit, back to the philosophy of Plato. And Plato said that the element of air is associated with the octahedron and is both hot and wet or humid. Air heated becomes fire, cooled becomes water, and cooled even more becomes earth. The words spirit, inspire, expire, and aspire are all derived from the Latin spirare, to breathe. Air is associated with all of these. Now, in magical terms, when we're doing ritual or some kind of magical working, air is most of the time evoked from the east. It's invoked in the form of spirit creatures that are associated with air, like sylphs, sprites, griffins, and or by calling upon divinities or other spirits that are associated with air. And I don't mention this very often, but I just wanted to point out here that when you are calling the directions, now we must realize that when the early magicians or whatnot started writing these grimoires and these rituals, most of them were from Northern Europe. So when we are in Northern Europe, where is the ocean? The ocean is to the west. The warm Asian climates are to the east. So for me, it is okay for you to change the direction of the elements when you're doing ritual, depending on the natural features of the region that you're in. If you live by a river and that river is to the north, by all means, evoke or invoke the water element from the north of your property. It is okay to do regional style rituals. So anyway, that's just a little footnote as far as the directions of magic are concerned. But yes, all in all, it is normal for air to be to the east, fire to be to the south, water to be to the west, and the earth element to be to the north. So when we're creating a sacred space or purifying an area, objects or individuals are individual for ritual. Air can be employed in the form of smoke by fanning air over something to be purified with a feather or a fan. You've probably seen when I do ritual here, I usually have my little feather wand and I blow the smoke toward the camera and around myself, and that's to use air to cleanse and purify myself and or the area that I'm working in. As well, you can use a musical instrument. Any air instrument like a flute or some type of a horn can be used to evoke the element of air. On the altar, the symbolic objects, for me, of course, is the incense. The smoke of the incense, for me, represents the element of air. But symbolically, you can use a feather as well. In Western esoteric or occult traditions, it is the sword. It could also be a wand. It could be flowers, or even like a spindle that we use in weaving and whatnot. So now that we've talked about some of the things that can represent air, let's talk about the colors. Now, again, colors fluctuate depending on your tradition and what region you're from, but mostly it is the color yellow that is associated. It can be any bright pale color or pastel, something that's light and airy. It goes right with the terminology. Air carries the archetypal properties of spirit to the physical world. It is associated with the magics and the alchemy of separation, of, how shall we say, extracting one from the other. The symbol for air is the upward pointed triangle with a horizontal line bisecting it. I don't know if you've ever seen those alchemical symbols. Anyway, so let's talk about balancing air within and without us. Let's call to mind the element of air within our bodies. We did this with the past elements of water, fire, and earth, and now let's do it with air. The air is in our lungs, it's in other body cavities, it's in the gases that are dissolved in our blood, the oxygen that is moving through our blood. And when we call to mind, we become aware of breathing, aware there is air flowing rhythmically in and out of our body. And as we do this, let's recall the element of air outside of us, the air that's surrounding us, touching our skin right now. Any breeze from a fan or from an AC unit. There's air in the winds that are blowing the clouds outside your window. There's the breezes that we can see blowing the branches of a tree, or hearing the air as it moves grasses or branches or bushes or anything like that. So I wanted us to take a moment now and to experience air. And I like to do this through basic Zen meditation. So if you like, you can either just listen, or you are welcome to follow along with me. If you like, you're welcome to close your eyes. We're going to do a brief 1-minute meditation. So close your eyes if you like, and take a deep breath in through your nose. Feel the air filling your belly. Pause and gently exhale. Now, acknowledge as you are breathing in. Here's a little foot notation for the breathing. When we're breathing in through our nose, we want to fill our belly. We want to expand the belly, not the chest, but the belly, the diaphragm, the upper part of your torso, or the midsection, I should say. So again, taking a deep breath in, feeling the belly, pause, and gently exhale. And again, take a deep breath in, feel the air moving in, pause, and feel the air needing to be released. We can't hold on to the air. We have to let it go. Now, remaining with your eyes closed, or at least remaining focused on your breathing, I'd like you to just return to your normal breathing rhythm. Okay, now let's begin to count the breaths. Let's just count 1 inhale, 1 exhale, 2 inhale, 2 exhale, 3 inhale, 3 exhale. Okay, and now we're going to start over again. And this time, what I'd like you to do is we're going to do it quietly, and we're going to count our breaths up to 5. Inhale 1, exhale 1. Inhale 2, exhale 2. Okay? So let's just take a deep breath to ground and rebalance ourselves. And exhale. And now let's begin again with breath 1. Counting our breaths. 2. 3, 4, and 5. Just open your eyes, shake your hands, wiggle your thumbs, wiggle your fingers if you need to. Bring yourself and your attention back to this moment. We have experienced the air element, and we can see how important and how vital the air element is to our life, and how it gives life to, well, to humans, and how the air moving in transforms into carbon dioxide that is released, giving life to trees and other carbon dioxide absorbing life forms. So we were taking in and giving out the element of air, right? Right now, the element of air is entering and leaving our body as we breathe in and out. Right now, the air is entering as oxygen, dissolving in our bloodstream, being taken to cells to provide energy. And then, of course, the carbon dioxide is being exhaled and feeding life forms that need it. So notice that there's no boundary between inner air and outer air. There's only one air element. And what's within us is simply borrowed for a few moments. We obviously cannot hold on to air for very long, any more than we can hold on to any of the other elements. The fire, the earth, the water comes in and goes out. In fact, especially when it comes to air, we can only live by letting go of the air, never holding on. We inhale, we must exhale. If we hold on to the air, what happens? We die. Can't hold our breath forever. And so we reflect on the air element like the other physical elements. It's not us. It's not ours. And we are not the element. So recalling back to our earlier sessions of earth, of water, of fire, let's begin to put those all together, and let's begin to sense that impermanence, the transient nature of our bodies. What we assume to be fixed, solid physical form is actually a dynamic process, constantly moving, constantly doing some function. Observing all the elements, earth, air, fire, water, flowing through our body is just like sitting by a river. We sit at the banks of the river. We watch the water pass the stretch of the riverbank that is right in front of us, and we say, that's me, that's mine. But in every moment that we claim or we grasp what we're trying to cling to flows past us. It is the nature of things. It is one of the universal laws. Everything is changing. Impermanence. Everything is changing. Clinging is futile, and clinging can create pain. So letting go is to recognize how things are. We have to recall and remember and return to that sense of curiosity, of wonder, of openness. The world is more alive when we can acknowledge and perceive the world through this clear, curious, wondering openness. We become less attached to our physical form. Our sense of identity begins to expand outward. Everything that has ever passed through our body, whether it be solid matter, air, water, energy, it's out there now. And in the form of fields, of clouds, of soil, of forests. And in a way, those things are us because we are a part of it. by bringing our, I don't want to say the word mindfulness as I use that word around. I throw that word around a lot, but being mindful of the elements that is within us, the earth, the air, the fire, the water, being mindful of how it passes through us and how it returns to the outside world, we begin to realize that our body is made up of the same things that's outside of us. It expands our connection and helps us to understand the oneness of us within all of nature, within all people, within all objects, living or solid. And we get this direct sense of interconnectedness. It's empowering, it's enlivening, it's life. We're no longer separate. We're no longer small. We become an intimate part of the vast cycle of the elements, of nature, and of the flow of how that which we take in is released and becomes one with the everything. And that is the air element. And that is the end of our 4-part series. I hope that you've enjoyed this series. If you haven't caught the first parts, you can go back on my Facebook page or on my YouTube channel to catch parts 1 through 3. Next week, I am going to be having a guest joining me, and one of my dear friends, one of your favorites, and one of my favorites, Miriam Delicato. We're going to be looking, I guess you can call it a philosophical discussion or esoteric discussion of humanity, of where we are now, where we've been, where we're headed, kind of an intuitive metaphysical discussion of where is humanity, where are we headed, why are things happening the way that they're happening, and hopefully we can create some awareness and hope and offer tools to help you see your place in the story of life, in the story of humanity, and perhaps even figure out, what is your purpose? We all have a purpose. We all have a purpose, and that purpose may change day to day, might change year to year, it might change lifetime to lifetime. But your soul's purpose is to be here right now and to do what you're doing. So I thank you for watching, and I will see you next week. Have a great week.